Welcome back to 20 Minutes or Less. I'm Joe Beretta.
I'm Elliot Morgan.
High five. Hey, you remember that time a couple of months ago when people on the internet from around the world banded together to stand up against the likes of things like SOPA?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Remember when that actually worked?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Well, I hope you still have some fight in you because it might be time for round 2.
I don't know, Joe. I'm kind of tired.
That's what I thought. This time it's called CISPA, or the Cyber Intelligence Sharing and Protection Act of 2011. Now, before you go jumping on the whole anti-CISPA bandwagon, let's have ourselves a little roundtable discussion, see what this thing's about, and then we'll formulate a livid, all caps type of opinion on the subject.
Yeah, all right. While SOPA focused more on the world of copyright, CISPA is taking the route of tracking cyber threats. And what this new bill would allow would be for government agencies and private companies to share private information about cyber threats. Which doesn't sound too bad, but what do they consider a cyber threat? Cyber threats are anything making efforts to disrupt, degrade, or destroy vital networks. Or anything that makes a threat or misappropriation of information owned by either the government or private businesses.
So, while SOPA would have negatively affected online businesses for subscriber activities, some argue that CISPA rewards businesses for collecting information, intercepting or modifying communication, and ultimately providing private information to the government. That being said, don't expect businesses to fight this bill like they fought SOPA. Some companies that already back CISPA are Facebook, Verizon, AT&T, Microsoft, IBM, and Intel. All those companies that help you communicate with one another.
Awesome! CISPA is all about privacy. When your information is collected, information like your name or your address or your online activity or anything like that, it becomes proprietary, meaning you don't find out how it's gathered or shared. Like SOPA, opponents of this bill argue that the language in it is incredibly vague. The Center for Democracy and Technology states, CISPA has a very broad, almost unlimited definition of the information that can be shared with government agencies, and it supersedes all other privacy laws.
And the Electronic Frontier Foundation argues that it could still cover ground that SOPA tried to cover before its demise. They state, an ISP could even interpret this bill as allowing them to block accounts believed to be infringing, block access to websites like the Pirate Bay believed to carry infringing content, or take other measures provided they claimed it was motivated by cybersecurity concerns.
So those are the scary sides of the bill. There are, however, some good intentions thrown in there. Cyber attacks are an increasing threat right now, and although things like Anonymous seem really cool all the time, not all of them are good guys. There are legitimate bad guys out there that could be stopped with the sharing of information. And while SOPA forced companies to gather information, CISPA doesn't require online businesses or ISPs to submit any information whatsoever, which would be in their best interest so as not to piss off their clients, to make sure that they don't gather information unless it's absolutely a cyber threat.
And according to this tweet from the House Intelligence Committee, nothing in CISPA provides any authorities requiring companies to take content off the internet or to stop access to websites.
They follow-up tweeted with the following: if government violates use limitations and info shared, CISPA allows for government liability for actual damages, costs, and attorney's fees in a federal lawsuit.
Okay, sure, ISPs and the Facebooks of the world get info on possible cyber threats, but the government gets potential access to basically everyone's information. And it just reeks of government scare tactics, like when they threw around the word terrorist to get bills like the Patriot Act passed. But now they scream cyber threat instead of terrorist.
But it's important to remember that the internet is a relatively young thing, and although the knee-jerk reaction whenever we hear about legislation like this is to automatically hate it, we have to remember that legislation like this might be necessary on a federal level in the upcoming years to stop things like malicious anonymous attacks and other cyber threats. However, if this does give you a bad feeling and you do need a soapbox, advocacy groups against CISPA have come together to do a week-long protest, and they encourage you to tweet at your lawmakers using hashtags like CISPA or Congress TMI.
And just so you know, you guys, the CISPA stuff kind of coincides with the ACTA stuff that's going on over in Europe. So if you'd like to hear a little bit more about that, click in the link in the description below. It'll take you to Philip DeFranco's PDS today where he's covering that stuff. Go educate yourself.
So how do you feel about all of this CISPA news? Is it a huge deal? Do we need to be freaking out about it like we were about SOPA? Or is it a necessary step to stop cyber threats? Leave a comment down below.
Click the like and subscribe buttons, hit this annotation, and go to SourceFed.com for the 5 stories of the day or to see anything that we've ever done. I'm Joe Beretta.
I'm Elliot Morgan.
See you guys tomorrow.